This video is brought to you by BetUS Sportsbook and Casino.
What's good, folks, family, friends, loved ones, enemies, frenemies, wizards, witches, muggles, mudbloods, people of Middle Earth, to another episode of Disguised Coverage, the only podcast that gives you an equal amount of blueberries in each muffin, powered by BetUS Sportsbook and Casino, and presented by the best pizza in Buffalo, New York. That is One Pie Pizza. Find the online menu in the episode show notes, whether here on YouTube or whichever podcasting app or platform you are listening to this show on. I'm your host, Anthony. Find me on Twitter at pro__ant. That's pro 2_ ANT. Find me on Blue Sky at pro_ant. No underscores there in this episode of Disguised Coverage. Offline, again, because of the holidays and the wonkiness and the schedule that comes along with that. But in this episode of Disguised Coverage, I wanted to dive into several defensive standouts from the Bills' victory against the Jets, a game where they essentially pitched a shutout, especially from a starter's perspective. I don't think it was necessarily as dominant as that potential shutout or scoreline indicated, especially early on, given how the Jets were able to move the ball to start the game, but were unable to convert on a fourth down early on, courtesy of Greg Rousseau, and then had an interception in the red zone later. Also, courtesy of Greg Rousseau, tipped it up into the air into the waiting arms of Jordan Phillips. But nonetheless, a performance that was strong, a performance that I thought had some fun schematic and conceptual tweaks to it, along with several standout individual performances, players, plays, reps, and then some team defense run fits that I thought were really important to look into and dive into. If you folks follow me on any social or watch the show, you know how much I've been talking about the worries around the Bills' run defense, especially in the spine, the displacement that has been created against them, their inability to work off of double teams. We saw some effectiveness in this game, especially from the starters, and some movement up front, along with some scheme stuff up front that resulted in some successful run defense reps for them against the Jets. Without further ado, let's dive into the film, dive into the tape. Let's get it going. This first play that we're going to dive into is a two-man variant on third down against the Jets, just a variation of two-man that the Bills get into. Really good communication from Taylor Rapp to Christian Benford. Good execution by Taylor Rapp post-snap. And we're going to look at this play, see how it caused some problems for Aaron Rodgers and for the Jets, and how it led to a near interception for the Buffalo Bills. Watch Taylor Rapp up here. You're going to see him. He's coming over, walking down. Boom, have him highlighted along with Christian Benford, these two here. Now I'll go slow-mo, watch Taylor Rapp. You see him start to communicate. He's giving hand signals potentially, letting Christian Benford know what's up. As we go back, watch Benford. Benford kind of turns a little bit, hearing what he's having to say. So they're getting on the same page, and you see Rapp kind of give him the nod. Okay, cool, we're in agreement. Let's go forward here. Now, when I say a variation of two-man, when you are in two-man, it's just man coverage with two safeties over the top. So I have everyone highlighted here. Douglas up here in man coverage. Terrell Bernard here in man coverage on the running back. Cam Lewis, man coverage on the number 3. Taron Johnson, man coverage on the number 2. Christian Benford, man coverage here on the number 1. And then you would have Cole Bishop dropping to a deep half and Taylor Rapp dropping to a deep half. Both of those guys playing over the top with man coverage underneath. But what we're going to see on the snap, like I talked about, this is a variation of two-man. So let's watch Taylor Rapp highlighted here and Christian Benford highlighted here. This play is designed to go to Davante Adams, and the Bills cut it off, shut it down. Rapp immediately post-snap. Look where his eyes are. Look at his body position. You can see Bishop up here. He's opened up. He's getting eyes to number 1. He's looking like he's getting into his drop. Rapp is doing the opposite. His eyes are downhill. His body, his trigger is downhill. We'll watch it in slow-mo. He is slicing on Davante Adams. He's cutting him off. He is becoming the man coverage guy on Davante Adams, and Christian Benford down here is replacing him as that deep half player over the top. Rapp takes out Adams. Rodgers has nowhere to go. Rodgers tries to extend the play, throws it middle of the field, a little high. Lazard probably could have potentially caught this, but a little high. Benford, in all reality, should have picked this off. That's the only negative on this play, is he should have had an interception, but he doesn't. We'll watch it in real time. Again, watch Taylor Rapp on this snap. Immediately drives. He's taking Adams. Now, another look from this sideline angle. I mentioned this play is designed to go to Davante Adams. Watch the route from Lazard. Watch the route from Conklin, and especially watch the route from Garrett Wilson up here. This looks like one of those it's a drag or it's an over to Davante Adams, but essentially it kind of plays out like a screen. Just watch the rest of the routes Every other route is almost like a rub or an obstruction route. Hey, let's kind of get some contact and just drive guys off the ball, especially from Wilson up here on Douglas. Watch Wilson. He's essentially just getting into Douglas, driving him downfield, pushing him. And then as he gets to the 30, you see him almost kind of look backwards like, okay, does Devontae have the ball yet? Do I need to still keep blocking? Like, what am I doing? This play is going to Devontae. Focus over here on Lazard and Conklin. Again, getting into their defenders, trying to get in their way, obstruct them, rub a little bit. If they can get open or, create something potentially. But this play is designed to go to Devontae Adams 100%. Rapp takes it away. Benford replaces him over the top. A really nice two-man variation from the Bills on a third down that leads to a stop. Wanted to look at the end zone angle here. I have it synced up right with Rodgers, starting to look at Devontae. There's Aaron Rodgers' sight line. Here's Devontae Adams right here next to the field goal post. Watch Rodgers step up. His eyes are right on Devontae. Even as he steps up and steps to the side, he's ready to pull the trigger. He's ready to throw this to Adams, but then he sees Taylor Rapp closing down. Now he's got to hold the ball. Now he's trying to evade, tries to make a play, and again, throws across his body, near interception. This next play that we're going to look at is a double robber / double hole player look from the Buffalo Bills. You usually see this in conjunction with cover one, this type of coverage, this type of look. We don't necessarily get that single high safety here or that, post player here because both safeties drop down as high hole players or double robbers. But we'll take a look at this play, see how it worked, talk about the variation of it and how it plays off of some things. In the circles are the main players to pay attention to on this play. We've got Cole Bishop up here, Taylor Rapp over here, Rasul Douglas down here, and then Taron Johnson in the slot up here on Devontae Adams. Christian Benford up here on the top in one-on-one. Taron Johnson's on Devontae Adams. Rasul Douglas is on Garrett Wilson. Man coverage everywhere else across the board. Bernard on the running back, Cam Lewis on the tight end. So we've got that man coverage look that is associated with cover one. We just don't have that single high post safety. We're going to go to the snap here. Rodgers snaps the ball. Now, let's watch both of these two safeties. Neither of them are going deep. Look at their eyes. Look at their body language, what they are focused on. What you've got is Cole Bishop is focused on Devontae Adams in the slot here, and you've got Taylor Rapp focused on Garrett Wilson down there to the bottom. What's essentially going to happen here is Cole Bishop and Taylor Rapp are going to take away the overs or crossers from Garrett Wilson and Devontae Adams. Again, look at how Bishop and Rapp are standing right now, their body posture, their body language, their eyes. They are each looking at their respective assignments. Essentially, Rapp and Bishop function as bracket players along with Douglas on Wilson at the bottom and Johnson on Adams in the slot. So it essentially ends up playing out like a bracket coverage. We're going to get a great job from Taylor Rapp, really beautiful coverage from him. A little bit of a collision point from Cole Bishop and a feet entanglement with Devontae Adams, but it results in a stop for the Buffalo Bills. So let's let this play go forward. Let's focus on both of these safeties up here. Eyeing their men. See what we got going on. Both of them inside leverage, inside positioning, in conjunction with Taron, who has outside leverage, Rasul Douglas, who has outside leverage. Again, that's why it's essentially playing out like a bracket coverage here. See their positioning. Let's focus on Taylor Rapp first, because he's the cleanest one to look at here. Good body position, sees the over start to develop from Garrett Wilson, opens, stays over the top on him, sticky right there. Really good job from Taylor Rapp. Now, let's focus on Mr. Cole Bishop. Bishop in position. He's got Devontae Adams. Like I mentioned, not as clean as Rapp on this play. Creates a bit of a collision point right here. Gets his hands on Adams. Adams wants the call. He wants illegal contact or he wants holding or something. And I know Bishop does create a collision point here, but I don't think he impedes him tremendously. He does get physical, creates a bit of a collision point. You're going to see Adams get impeded a bit, but it's because his feet click into one another, which we're going to take a look at on the end zone angle. But Bishop impedes him a little bit. Douglas, who was on Wilson, falls off. He kind of becomes the post player a little bit, potentially. Rodgers throws the ball, looking for Adams, and it's not there. You see Adams throw his hands up. He wants the flag. I'll play it in real time on the snap. Just watch how this develops. Really nice job to essentially bracket these two really good wide receivers, take them both away. Outside leverage plus inside leverage. Man coverage underneath. You could see Bernard on Breece Hall. Cam Lewis comes up. He's on Conklin as he leaks out. There is no one open. There is no airspace. Everything is locked down. Again, you see that little bit of obstruction for Adams, and he's pissed. He wants the call. He can't believe it. He's shocked. Watch it from the end zone angle. What's also nice about this one, too, is it's cool. You can see Devontae Adams see Cole Bishop over here. Again, Bishop number 24. You can see Adams see him, and then how he tries to set him up to still be able to get away from him and run that over. And then you'll see the feet entanglement. So here goes Bishop. And again, Bishop, look at his eyes. Taylor Rapp, look at his eyes. Go forward here. Here's Bishop. And this is Devontae Adams seeing Bishop. Bishop sees him. It's like two cats in an alleyway staring each other down, being like, are we going to do this? Yeah, let's do this. Adams actually does a decent job, sets him up, little rocker step there, get in front, try and cross face. And this is that collision point that Bishop created. Now watch as we go forward. Watch Devontae Adams' feet. This foot is going to click into the back heel of that upfield foot right there. See? And that's what leads to the bit of the stumble there for Adams. He wants a flag because, and I can understand him wanting the flag of him thinking that contact from Bishop is what caused him to have his feet knock into one another. But it's almost kind of like an incidental contact created by a collision point a little bit. I like the no call. I lean defense, even if it wasn't the Bills, I lean towards giving the defenders some help because of how offensively focused the game is nowadays. And I like a bit of physicality allowed in the game anyway. So I am cool with this. Bang, bang. Nice little rocker step. Let me try to get in front of you here. And a good job by Bishop. Trying to reroute him a little bit. Try and slow him down a little bit without drawing too much contact, without drawing the flag. And then Adams kicks his feet over one another. And we get the incompletion. Again, I like this call. Another variation for the Bills. We don't see this a lot. This is a creative look out of man coverage, a little variation, a little variant in terms of their normal coverage structure and how they like to operate and how they like to run. This one also coming on a third down, like the previous play that we looked at, and the Bills get the stop and force the Jets offense off the field. This next play that we're going to look at is a cover one creeper look from the Buffalo Bills. I have the track and assignments highlighted for all of the Bills players here. We'll start from the coverage perspective. The cover one aspect just means man coverage, single high safety in the post. That single high safety in the post is going to be Mr. Taylor Rapp. So on the snap, as I have highlighted by the arrow, he's going to drop into the post. His running mate up top, Cole Bishop, has the tight end man for man. Benford has Devontae Adams at the top of the screen, man for man. Taryn, one-on-one in man coverage for Garrett Wilson in the slot. And then Douglas, man-on-man outside against Allen Lazard. Where the creeper pressure aspect comes in, all it is a four-man rush where one or more rushers are non-traditional rushers. So in this instance, we're going to have Matt Milano and Terrell Bernard rush as highlighted by their tracks here. And then we're going to have Greg Rousseau as the edge to the top and AJ Epinesa as the edge to the bottom. Both of those guys are going to drop. So it's still just going to be a four-man rush, but we're exchanging two traditional rush players for two non-traditional rush players, edges versus the linebackers. So the edges obviously drop into coverage, the linebackers rush. That also falls into the kind of the simulated pressure family. The only difference between a simulated pressure and a creeper pressure is a creeper pressure does not show pressure pre-snap. A simulated pressure does. So as you can see here, Milano, he's starting to kind of lean downhill a little bit, but this isn't a pressure look. They're not both, lined up in the A-gap, Sugar in the A-gap here. We're not showing a 6 or 7 man look on the line. Okay, here comes pressure. This looks like just a 4 down front with 2 off-ball linebackers behind them. Let this play a little bit. Now, this is part of the importance of this play. Watch the bottom of the screen as Lazard comes in motion. Bang. I have Taron Johnson highlighted because we're going to watch the communication that Taron Johnson gives to Rasul Douglas. They come together. They're going to switch a little bit. Johnson's going to bump inside. He's tapping his hat. He's communicating to Douglas. He also tells him, hey, get up on Garrett Wilson. Now we have a change. So we've got a 2x2, but now we've got a more condensed look. We've got reduced formational width. We have changed to the number 2, and the number 1 receiver is outside. Previously, Lazard was the 1. Wilson was the 2. We don't have that anymore. Now, right here, Wilson becomes the 1. Lazard becomes the 2. So Taron Johnson's communicating that adjustment and the assignments that are going to follow. Rasul Douglas gets called for illegal contact on this play, and I absolutely hate it. He gets a great jam on Garrett Wilson, and he lets up before the 5 yards. So I do not think this should have been called illegal contact, but alas, it was. Let's watch Douglas here lined up on Garrett Wilson. He times it well. Him coming into a press alignment as the ball is getting snapped, and then he uses those long arms, bang. Garrett Wilson isn't even ready to kind of release and come off the line, and Douglas is already getting into him. And you can see how it just gets him going sideways. Douglas rides him a little bit. And you can see this is where the 5 yards is for Rasul. He's got hands on him, but he's not impeding him. He's got hands on him, which you're allowed to do. I don't think this should have been illegal contact. He's not pulling him. He's not yanking him. I think this should have been fine. Rodgers ends up getting flushed, throws incomplete. Good play from the Bills, good execution, but again, Douglas gets called for illegal contact. Wanted to highlight the end zone angle. Let's highlight what Terrell Bernard does on this play again. He's rushing. Milano's rushing. Groot's dropping as a low hole player. We're going to get AJ Epinesa dropping as a low hole player, but watch Bernard and how his rush path develops based off of what he's seeing in front of him. He's watching Rodgers, and watch him loop and get right on Rodgers. That's what helps flush him. That's what helps force Rodgers to evade. And then Daquan's coming down on him too. Gets the pressure and the QB hit. Focus on that creeper pressure look with the low hole players coming off the edge. So again, Groot's going to drop, Epinesa's going to drop, and we're going to get a rush, here. Taryn communicating. Boom, boom. Man coverage. Good press jam from Douglas. A little soft shoe press from Benford up top against Adams. Cole Bishop is flowing over the top on Conklin. And then again, here's Groot already starting to drop into a low hole roll and responsibility. Same thing for AJ Epinesa. Taylor Rapp, here he is in the post because, again, we are in cover 1. Epinesa with eyes on Rodgers. Groot with eyes on Rodgers. Groot triggering as soon as he sees Rodgers start to evade. Rodgers tries to make a throw on the run. He gets nothing. Good play from the Bills. Again, good individual execution, but the schematic design, the Bills will throw out simulateds and creepers, so this isn't completely out of their wheelhouse, and they'll pair it with different coverages, single high and two high. So this isn't completely new or some brand new wrinkle or development for them, but I just wanted to highlight this because I like this look. I like the design. I like when they called it, and I like the execution. This one on a second down, as opposed to the first two that we looked at that was on third down for each, respectively. This next play that we're going to look at, nothing too crazy, nothing too complicated. It's Rasul Douglas making a really good play in space against a tunnel screen. I have the tight end highlighted because I want you folks to pay attention to that because it's going to tie into the very next play that we're going to look at. So there goes Ty Conklin, tight end, number 83 for the Jets. There he goes in motion. Settles down. Becomes hipped off the left tackle. Now we've got a 3-by-1. So let the play start to roll a little bit. Here comes the snap. There's Rasul Douglas. Let's watch Rasul Douglas. Fake toss. Here comes the tunnel screen action. We've got our right tackle and our right guard out here leading the way. And Rasul Douglas is essentially by himself out here in space, one-on-one against Morgan Moses, a very large man who plays right tackle for the Jets. And just watch Douglas square up. He's on Wilson, dives inside, beats the block, and then still makes the tackle. He ends up getting some support. Rapp ends up coming from over the top, and they'll probably squeeze this to the sideline. Maybe it only goes for another 5 or 6 yards, or maybe it ends up short of the sticks. I don't care. This is a great play from Rasul Douglas to be alone for a good chunk of time in space against Garrett Wilson, one-on-one with an offensive lineman who has you on size and strength to be able to defeat that block and also make the tackle. Really nice play. And the next play that we're going to look at, there's Ty Conklin again, highlighted because what's he doing? He's going in motion across the formation. He's going to settle down. Now we have, again, that 3-by-1 look with the tight end hipped off of the right tackle. We'll let the play run. Here's Rasul Douglas on Garrett Wilson again. What do we get? Fake the toss. Here comes the tunnel screen, but this time Douglas is all over it. He is eyeballing Garrett Wilson. There is no drop. There is no separation. And he attacks Wilson immediately, blows this up, doesn't make the tackle, but he blows it up. Ed Oliver comes for support, knocks the ball loose from Wilson. We get a fumble. We get a turnover for the Bills. I like that the camera angle showed the celebration here. I thought that was very nice. There's Billy Buffalo. Shout out to Billy. He's pumped. But same exact play, literally the same exact play, this time in quarter 3 versus quarter 1 on the previous look. Douglas is all over it, triggers. And again, Wilson does a good job to break the initial tackle from Douglas, but Douglas blows this up. This is great play recognition. This is a really great job from him, blowing up 2 tunnel screens. First time he did it all by himself. This time he does it in a support capacity, and it leads to a turnover. So really good job there from Rasul Douglas on these 2 plays. This next play that we're going to look at is some good team run defense from the Buffalo Bills versus the New York Jets, who are running duo on this play. We're going to get a gap exchange on the snap between Daquan Jones and Terrell Bernard. Daquan Jones is going to beat a double team, close the B gap, keep Terrell Bernard clean. Terrell Bernard is then going to work off him as the double stays on Daquan. And then we're going to watch A.J. Epinesa, who's also highlighted over here on the edge for the Bills. We're going to highlight Epinesa, who is going to use some good shock and shed versus the tight end, read the track of the running back the whole way, and be in a position to play multiple gaps, and then is the one who makes the stop. So let's start with Bernard and Daquan Jones here, executing that gap exchange like I mentioned. Here's where Daquan is aligned. This is where it looks like Bernard is aligned. We're going to go on the snap, watch the movement. Boom. Daquan's here. Bernard is coming here. Watch Daquan Jones against this double team from the left tackle and the left guard. Splits him, gets in between. He's closing this gap. And from Breece Hall's angle, okay, I'm getting downhill. There's a hat in this gap. There's a hat in this gap. Let me try and go somewhere else. As he starts to bounce it, let's keep watching Daquan and Bernard there. The double team, like I mentioned, stays on Daquan. So Daquan gets pushed over a little bit into this gap. So let's watch Bernard read this track and be like, okay, let me just pop and flow over. So now he's replaced him here, which is a really good play from Bernard reading the track and path of his running mate up front. Now, let's focus on Mr. A.J. Epinesa, the other man in this team run defense part. So got the gap exchange between Daquan and Bernard. Let's watch A.J. Epinesa engages with that tight end, gets hands on him immediately, eyes into the backfield. What's nice is that hand usage, and then we get some extension off of it. So he's got, when I say that shock and shed, he gets the hands in there. You see him jolt the tight end a little bit, extend versus him a little bit. Head is in this gap, watching Breece Hall, and just watch his eyes now the entire way. His head and shoulder are in this gap. He's watching Breece Hall. Okay, Breece, you going to go in that gap? I'm ready to make the play. Oh, you're going to put your foot in the ground? Cool. Let's watch him. Now this is where the hands come into play because he got that shock. He got that extension. Now he's going to shed. You're cutting? Okay, cool. Let me chuck the tight end, get into this gap, and make a play. Really nice job from all 3 of these guys combining to shut this duo run down from the Jets. Watching in real time a couple times. Really good run defense rep from A.J. Epinesa individually. And, I know you can kind of say, yeah, he's against the tight end. You should beat a tight end, again, whether you're pass rushing against him or run defense rep against him if you are a defensive end or an edge, and Epinesa does that on this one. Gets into him with his hands, extends, stays clean, reads the track of the running back, shed, make the stop. But it only gets there because Breece bounces it because of what happens with Daquan and Bernard. This next play that we're going to look at is highlighting Matt Milano and Daquan Jones and their performance against the run on this play. We're going to start with Daquan Jones up front. We're going to watch him hold his ground versus an initial double team, then watch him get under the left guard to drive him back. Doesn't get displaced, and then knocks his man back into the line of scrimmage a little bit. Matt Milano, watch him trigger, watch him use his hands to stay clean versus the climbing center, watch him evade the block, and then stick Breece Hall in the hole. We'll go slow-mo first. Boom. Start with Daquan. There goes that double team on Daquan Jones. Watch him hold his ground. Doesn't get displaced. Drops the knee, changes that surface area, changes the leverage a little bit. Now, because Milano is triggering, this man is coming off the double team and going on to Milano. So let's keep eyes on Daquan Jones now. Now that double team is over. So you held your ground versus the initial double. You didn't get displaced. Now it turns into a one-on-one situation. What are you going to do? You're lower than that guard. And there's the proverbial low man wins. Watch Daquan literally come off of his left knee, power himself up and through the left guard, and drive him backwards. Wrenches him back a little bit. Feet are almost off the ground. The left guard is on his tippy toes. Really nice from Daquan, playing this like a grizzly bear. Now, let's focus on Matt Milano. Talked about that initial trigger. Comes downhill. Double team is starting to leave Daquan. Now the center is going to Milano. Watch Milano wear his eyes on the running back. He's about to be in the gap. He's eyeing the running back, but he knows the center is coming. Look at his hands. He's already prepared. He's already set. So he's watching the running back, reading his track. Let's sidestep and evade the block. Let's use our hands to stay clean and shed. And now let's come forward and boom, let's stick the running back in the hole. Played in real time a couple times. Really nice play from those two. Epinesa squeezing things down against the tackle on his side. The front just getting gummed up from Rousseau and Phillips and Bernard. Brees's option is to get downhill and try and hit that gap, and Milano closes it, and Daquan helps close it too. Really good play from those two. This next play that we're going to look at is another team run defense rep highlighted by Matt Milano and Terrell Bernard at the linebacker spots. And then Greg Rousseau, who's lined up over here. I got the arrow highlighting him. I didn't want to highlight him because it would look like I was highlighting Rapp, but he's in front of Taylor Rapp on the edge here. Again, there's that little arrow spot that I just deleted, but there is Greg Rousseau in front of Taylor Rapp. We're just going to watch Matt Milano act as a force player on this run. We're going to see Greg Rousseau just be a real problem against the double team from the Jets. And then we're going to watch Terrell Bernard beat the climbing left guard and use his hands to stay clean, shed, and help make a play on the ball. So let's start to run this forward a little bit. Rodgers sends his man in motion. There's Greg Rousseau now that he's not covered by Taylor Rapp. We'll start with that. Group, head in the gap, taking on the right tackle and the tight end. There's that double team that I referenced. Watch Milano see this. He stays over the top. Comes that force player. So he cuts off this outside. And then what I like, Milano doesn't make this tackle, but he cuts off the outside with his position right now. And then he starts to break down. He dips and he tries to shoot underneath. So maybe he can get a knee, maybe get an ankle, trip up Brees a little bit, do what he can to try and stay down the line or stay down that angle and that path and help try and make a play on the ball, which I like from Milano. So good job from him being that force player and trying to make a play down the line. Impedes Brees a little bit. Brees has to stay a little more north and south. Can't get as much east and west. That drives him into Groot and Terrell Bernard. Now let's highlight each of those guys. Let's start with Greg Rousseau. Using his hands, use that length, use that leverage to the best of your ability. Pushes back the tackle. Now he gets a one-on-one with the tight end. Look at him. Extension, controlling his man. Eyes are in the backfield. He's watching what's going on. Brees comes forward. Groot's like, all right, cool. Let me just shed that tight end. Helps make a play on the ball. Now, last piece, Terrell Bernard, number 43. Shift over from the motion. Let's watch Bernard get this quick little double from the center and the right guard there from the Jets. Right guard is climbing to Bernard. Bernard sees it, gets his hands on him, moves, and then rips underneath. Let's watch it again. Watch the hand placement from Bernard. Bang, right in the chest. Now use your quickness. Use your agility because you definitely don't have the size and strength advantage against this dude. You're not going to in general, but especially because you are an undersized linebacker, maybe more traditionally so than in today's modern day of NFL football. But the good hand placement, get him into the chest, and then watch how he uses it to rip through, get underneath. He's in the hole. Also, potentially maybe could have been a holding call a little bit here. But 75, Elijah Vera Tucker lets him go. Bernard's in the hole to make a play. This next play that we're going to look at is highlighted by Matt Milano and Ed Oliver, who I have highlighted and circled on this play. Pay attention to Matt Milano appearing to call out the tight end. Maybe he knows what play is coming or he knows something is up. He's going to then beat the climbing left guard, fight him off, meet Brees Hall in the hole. Meanwhile, Ed Oliver prevents the left tackle from crossing his face. He doesn't get reached, and he helps make the stop on this play. Let's start with Milano here, going slow-mo. He's pointing out the tight end, keying in on him a little bit. And then what do we get? We get some motion from the tight end and then stop. And watch Milano, who is eyeing that tight end the whole way. Now watch Milano on the snap. Bang. He's out. Beats that climbing left guard. Watch him. Watch his shoulder usage here against him. Dips a little bit. Powers through that arm and that shoulder. Left guard gets a piece of him, but Milano stays true, gets in the gap, bang, makes a play on Brees. Let's watch Ed Oliver here this time. Like I mentioned, doesn't get reached by the left tackle, doesn't allow him to cross his face. Speed it up a little. Now let's go in slow-mo. There's Ed Oliver. You're not going to reach me, not going to cross the face. Ed Oliver's able to stay down the line of scrimmage, work his way to the running back. Both of them combine for the stop. Played in real time a couple times. Just watch how fast Milano triggers on this. Oliver, they shut this down almost immediately. This play is done before it almost gets started. Here comes the motion. Shoot, bang, bang. Also, front side a little bit. The action from 94, Dewan Smoot off the edge. Taron Johnson, Terrell Bernard cutting off that outside. Maybe influences Brees to stay inside and want to, get it up inside a little quicker or just get it a little up inside in general. And then Milano and Ed Oliver shut it down. Now I want to get into some individual highlights, some individual plays from some guys. This first one is from Ed Oliver. Real straightforward, real simple. We're just going to watch him dip and rip against the left guard and get a sack on Aaron Rodgers. His hand usage has been really strong these past couple of weeks. It's helped him against the run. It's helped him in the pass. Let's watch him go here. Gets that little stutter step, that little hesitation. There's the dip. There's the rip. Power through. Make him have to hold you or bring you down. The left guard doesn't want to do that. Ed Oliver uses his core strength, uses some power, and bears right down on Aaron Rodgers. Nice little alligator roll there to bring him down. We'll watch it in real time a couple times. Real simple. Dip and rip, bang. It's quick. It's instantaneous. And he gets home. Rodgers isn't that QB that can evade and escape pressure as well as he used to, especially coming off the Achilles injury last year. And Ed Oliver is the beneficiary on this one. Ooh. This next play that we're going to look at is an example of the coverage and pass rush marrying together. And the big example on this is Cole Bishop and what he does. He's going to take away the glance route from Garrett Wilson up here to the top of the screen. I also want you to pay attention to the right guard and the right tackle and their sets because they're expecting the ball to come out quickly. Aaron Rodgers is also expecting the ball to come out quickly. It doesn't and can't because of Cole Bishop. He has to hold the ball, and then we'll see what happens from there. So again, here's Mr. Cole Bishop. Watch as we go forward. He's immediately coming down. We're going to get this little mesh run action back here. And watch Rodgers. Keep your eyes on Rodgers right now. So there's the run fake. Okay, his eyes are right there on Matt Milano. Gives that run fake, and he's immediately turning and ready to fire this to Garrett Wilson. But he can't because here's Cole Bishop. So he decides, I'm going to hold this ball for a little bit. So what happens when he holds it? Okay, let me look to the bottom of the screen. Do I have anything there? Nope. There is nothing down here. It hasn't developed yet. It's muddy. There's no windows. There's no lanes. So now Rodgers says, okay, maybe I should look to do something else. And then as he goes to look to do something else, here comes Greg Rousseau. And here comes Mr. Daquan Jones. Watch it all together again. Boom. Not there. Sack. Example of coverage marrying with the pass rush. This play happens because Cole Bishop takes away that glance. It's not there. Rodgers feels threatened by it, doesn't want to go to it. So he looks to go elsewhere, but elsewhere is also not available. And this gives the pass rush time to get there and the sack to happen. If we watch it from the end zone angle, you can see there's Cole Bishop up here. Watch Rodgers. See where his eyes are. So he's watching Milano, and he's like, oh, sweet. He's moved. This is going to be here. This is fantastic. I'm hitting Garrett Wilson on this glance. And then his eyes go up, and he's like, oh, there's a dude in that window. No. He's thinking about throwing it. Can I get there? No. So he comes off of it, looks left. Left isn't there. And by the time he comes back to the right, bang, there's the pressure. Guys get home. This next one that we're going to look at, again, another simple one, clean, cut, and dry. Greg Rousseau making a stop on fourth down. I have him highlighted here. Watch him just beat the left tackle inside, get right down the line, bang. Ed Oliver is getting chucked a little bit, but he's working, so he kind of gums up the interior a little bit, which is why there's not a lot of vertical displacement, which is what helps Rousseau, because Rousseau is making this play from the side. But if there isn't this muddiness here, Allen, because of how big and strong of a back that he is, if he's getting hit from the side, there's a chance he can fall forward, but there is no forward because Oliver muddied it up. Granted, he's getting put to the ground, but he muddied this whole thing up. So when Allen goes forward, he runs into a wall and then runs into Rousseau here. And the force of those two things, bang, stands Allen up and creates the stop. Watch it from the end zone angle here. You can see left tackle, he steps out to get Groot. And Groot just beats him inside, gets down the line, boop, and makes the stop. Want to go back to the Cole Bishop coverage and pass rush marriage play really quick. One thing I forgot to mention, I mentioned it in the highlight of the play overall, but I wanted to highlight it individually. Watch the pass sets of the right tackle and the right guard. Let's start with the right tackle. Watch him try and get out on Groot. He takes that jump set. He's trying to jump set Groot again because he's expecting the ball to get out quickly. So watch him bang. He's going out to meet Groot. He's trying to jump set him, drive him from the window, get his hands down, occupy him, keep that lane clean. And that also contributes to the sack because he jump sets him and is expecting the ball to get out quickly. Groot is able to get around him, and then that changes his angle and his rush lane to the quarterback. And then if we also look, if we take, let's go to the end zone angle here. So again, watch Moses want to take that quick jump set. Bang. He's going out to try and get on Groot. Let's also watch the action that we have going on here. We're going to get this pull from the right guard, and that's going to put the center on Daquan. Going slow-mo here. He gets on him quick too, because again, you're trying to get that contact. You're trying to get that win. They're expecting the ball to get out quickly, and it does not. And sack. Just wanted to highlight those aspects as well to drive home the point and the fact of, the Jets are expecting the ball to get out quickly. Not just Rodgers, not just Wilson, but the offensive line as well. This last play that we're going to look at here is Von Miller and his hand usage on a sack of Aaron Rodgers. He's going up against Carter Warren here, so not the most seasoned right tackle. Moses got hurt in this game, so Carter Warren came in for him. But watch what Von does on this play. Uses that inside arm as the long arm, and then it's the left hand in conjunction and simultaneous usage with that inside long arm. Really good job here from Von. Boom. So he gets that long arm right into the chest. And as he does that, watch this hand. He's grabbing the wrist, so he's got wrist control. So as he's stabbing Warren in the chest with that long arm and getting some pop with his hands, he's also simultaneously lifting this outside arm and hand of Warren. So bang. Gets him, lifts, there's that hand lift, and the combination of the hand lift plus the pop into the chest is what just completely knocks Warren off his feet. And Von ends up going through him, puts him on his keister, and bears down on Rodgers for the sack. Watching in real time a couple times. Long arm plus the lift. Again, that outside arm / hand lift is slight and subtle because of that pop of the long arm. You don't really see it. But the combination of everything is what gets Warren off balance and puts him on the ground, and Von goes through him. Really nice job from Von Miller. So those were several Bills defensive standouts in the game against the Jets. Some schematic pieces, some individual pieces, some execution pieces, some guys just playing really good individual ball. I wanted to highlight all of them because I think all of them are going to be tremendously important going forward. What the Bills are able to do from a coverage standpoint, the wrinkles, the tweaks, the games, and the variations that they can add will mean a lot going forward, considering how much their blueprint schematically and structurally on the back end is known by teams. The run defense pieces, I think, are going to be tremendously important because I do think that run defense, especially in the spine, is a worry. So the more individual wins or team wins that they have as a run defense unit are going to matter tremendously, especially in the playoffs, especially if they face Baltimore, if they face Kansas City, if they face Detroit again, or the Eagles in the Super Bowl. There's so many of these matchups, even the Broncos, if they face them in round one, if they somehow face the Chargers, there's a multitude of teams that are going to want to get at them on the ground and can and will do so. So being able to have some guys that are starting to rev it up a little bit and win individually and do their job to allow others succeed and getting this good conjunction play together, it was really important. And then I wanted to highlight some of those just good individual wins, individual plays from a lot of guys and putting that holistic defensive performance together against the New York Jets. Another piece that I want to talk about and show right now is a graphic from our friends at BetUS. And this ties directly into this final week of the regular season and the Buffalo Bills. What we're going to look at here is this graphic, again, from our friends at BetUS, who have up here who takes the final AFC playoff spot. We've got the Broncos, the Dolphins, and the Bengals, and they've got their clinching scenarios listed for each. So if we see a team climb into that 7 seed, it will be one of these three. It will be the Broncos or the Dolphins or the Bengals. So again, the Broncos, the simplest and the easiest. If they win against the Chiefs, they're in. Or if they lose and the Bengals lose, the Broncos get in. The Dolphins, who play the Jets in the last week of the regular season, they need to win and have the Broncos lose. If that happens, the Dolphins get that 7 seed. The Bengals play the Steelers on Saturday. Their situation is the most complicated. They need to win against the Steelers, then they need the Broncos to lose, and they need the Dolphins to lose. Obviously, there's some emotion tied to each of these matchups in varying ways if you are the Bills or if you are a Bills fan. Obviously, more so with the Dolphins and the Bengals. The Dolphins, division rival, who you would see for the third time this year. The Bengals, the team that ousted you from the playoffs a couple of years ago and who have kind of had your number in both games that you played them. And then the DeMar Hamlin thing's on tied of it. It seems like these two franchises are tied together, even though they don't play each other a ton. And then you've got the Broncos sitting there who don't really have a rivalry with the Bills, but have this defense that is really good at getting after the QB and plays good run defense. And they have the best corner in football in Pat Surtain, and he's also one of the best defensive players in all of football. And Zach Allen's having a great year, and John Franklin Myers is having a great year. And then you've got this offense, quarterbacked by Bo Nix, run by Sean Payton. They'll run the ball. They'll go play action. They're working things through, and they've really started to find themselves as the season has gone on. It'll be very interesting to see who takes the final AFC playoff spot. And obviously, whoever that spot goes to as the 7 seed means they will play the Buffalo Bills in round 1 because the Bills are locked in to that 2 seed. So here are your playoff clinching scenarios for these 3 teams and getting into that final AFC playoff spot. Again, that playoff spot being the 7 seed because the Chargers cannot be lower than the 6 seed. You've got some variations between Baltimore and Pittsburgh in the North with how that could shake out, but neither of those are going to be the 7 seed. So whoever that 7 seed is will be one of these 3 teams up here on this graphic. Again, presented by our friends at BetUS, who, if you are looking for a new sportsbook this football season, BetUS is the answer. They give the fastest payouts in the industry, a 150% bonus on your first deposit, and then a 125% bonus on your next 2 deposits up to $2,000 with code YouTube150. That's code YouTube150. They have the fast and easy deposit and withdrawal process, 24/7 personalized service, 365 days a year, live wagering on all major games, the best betting variety in the business. They allow you to get 10% back on your net losses twice a year, and they can also give you your very own personal account manager. Go to BetUS for all of your betting and sports book needs. Thank you very much to them for powering and sponsoring this episode. Also sponsoring this show, our friends and folks at One Pie Pizza, the best pizza in Buffalo, New York. I don't say that because they sponsor the show. They sponsor the show because I think they are the best pizza in Buffalo, New York. Sweet sauce pie, cup and char pepperoni. They make their own homemade blue cheese. They have a bunch of catering options. They do a breakfast pizza. That's amazing. Everything truly is great that they do and that they put their work and their hands on. Awesome food. So treat yourselves and the family, whether it's on New Year's and the holiday week or the weekend or Bills games or non-Bills games, weekday, weekend, whatever have you. It is the best pizza in Buffalo, New York, and tremendous food overall on top of it. They also do a lot for the community. Just finished up Toys for Tots. They partner with the Alzheimer's Foundation. They partner with the SPCA. They partner with Roswell to try and knock out cancer. They do a ton of good for your taste buds and for the Buffalo community at large. So go get yourself some One Pie Pizza. Online menu can be found in the episode show notes, whether here on YouTube or whichever podcasting app or platform you're listening to this show on. That'll do it for us here in this episode of Disguised Coverage. I hope you folks enjoyed this film breakdown, pre-recorded version of Disguised Coverage. Might be back to the regular 9 o'clock live slot next week. We'll see how that goes. Obviously, put out some communication for it, but I hope you folks enjoyed this episode. If you did, please rate and review and subscribe to Disguise Coverage on the podcasting apps or platforms. Drop a like on this video here on YouTube. Likes are the lifeblood of these streams and the algorithm here on YouTube. So please drop a like on this video if you enjoyed this content. Turn on notifications for Disguise Coverage here on YouTube. Subscribe to the Cover One channel as a whole. Tell your family and friends and loved ones about how awesome this show is. If you thought the show was terrible, tell your enemies and try and ruin their day by making them watch this show. I hope you folks have a happy New Year's Eve, a happy New Year's Day, a happy New Year. Have a good end to your 2024 and a good start to your 2025. If you need anything from me, get at me on Twitter or on Blue Sky. I hope you and your family and friends and loved ones are all doing well and staying safe. Be kind to one another. Take care of one another. I will see you when I see you. Godspeed. And as always, go Bills.